From the lush green lands to the cascading waterfalls, wonders of the world, the oldest habitat of territories on Earth, rich cultural heritage, a continent of 1.1 billion people, second largest and most populous, a continent pregnant with possibilities, home to 30% of Earth's mineral resources, 50% of its people under 25 years. Africa, the land of the great. Our spirit resilient. Our enterprise profitable. Our future inspiring. Africa is inspiring. Be inspired.
Domestic violence has a pervading influence on the self-esteem and the self-worth of women and girls. When domestic violence starts at an early age, particularly where the child witnesses violence on the mother, the tendency is to see it as normal. It will only be a matter of time and probably associations with friends that then says it's not normal and that it could be different. But while it lasts, it puts down a woman to the extent that she does not function as a family head, correctly. As it is all known, the well-being of a woman is the well-being of her family. The quality of life she leads is also something that ultimately reflects on her children. So when domestic violence is the order, the results are a family with a reduced cohesion, where the children see the father as an antagonist. We see children with reduced capacity in school. There are incidences where you'll find the top star student from first grade or first position in class coming to be last because of the influence of what happens in the home environment. If the mother is a public or a wage earner, the tendency is productivity also goes low, and that in its aggregate as a national concern affects even the GDP of the country as a whole. The other thing about domestic violence is the social tolerance it enjoys. People see it in the context of the relationship, the power relations between men and women, where it is obvious a fulfilled woman cannot have a voice because then it amounts to an affront to the position of her husband, or as a struggle for space with her husband, who society believes she should be subservient to, or at least show some respect to. The other thing that happens with domestic violence is it sends the woman into a mode of self-criminalization, where she begins to think it's her fault. She no longer sees her aggressor as being wrong, and then she loses the capacity to even begin to dialogue about whether she wants to stay or to leave. And even when she leaves or when she's sent out, that capacity to pick the threads of her life becomes very, very difficult a task. So my call for women is to be able to disaggregate at what point did things get out of hand. The question of the role I played should not determine what you do to act and get out of abuse. You could maintain your marriage and still get out of abuse when you recognize the red flags early and you also take decisive measures to respond or to react. But what it has done for many of them is it has given them the capacity to weigh their options. Is remaining in this domestic relationship, whether it is a marriage or a partnership, is it really worth the while of my life and livelihood? And is it worth the lives of my children or even my life beyond this relationship? Because more often than not, domestic relationships that go sour ultimately end up. What we would normally tell women is, when that event comes, are you standing or are you kneeling? If you have allowed abuse to become systemic, you are more likely to be kneeling than standing. But if you had had the capacity to even think about it and begin to negotiate it or to begin to respond to it, then you may probably be standing, and then you would have the feet to run.